When it comes to WhatsApp system design, I want us to look at it from a more richer perspective. Here we have high level architecture. We have the high level architecture. So when we talk about high level architecture, I'm talking about from mobile clients. For example, you having your WhatsApp on your phone or your PC. You need to understand how everything operates. And what you're seeing on my screen right now is the actual WhatsApp case study that I did, and been able to come up with this system design approach to just help you understand how WhatsApp system design looks like. So here we have you as a client, or rather as a mobile client, you get to access the API gateways. The work is to access the API gateways depending with the kind of approach that you like to take. And this API gateway has different types of gateways in them, right? There's the auth service, there's the messaging services, there's the media service, there's the notification service. So I want us to understand the messaging service. Remember, the auth service is majorly for authentication. I know by now we've already looked at authentication on the other side, so this shouldn't really be an issue. So we have messaging service, and then we have media service. So when you come to messaging service, we're looking at message queue down here. Messaging service, we are looking at message queue, and then we're looking at presence service there. And then under message queue, we're looking at message store. This is basically where the message is getting stored. And then in the presence service, we now head to the Redis cache. So this messaging service, as you can see, you realize that it has different aspects. And I think by now you've seen there's a message queue here, and this message queue heads to the message store there. And then on the other end, we have media service. So this media service has what we call a media storage, and this is the media storage here. And then on the other end, we're looking at notification service. This notification service has what we call the push notification service down there. So this is just a simple case overview, or rather case study of WhatsApp. And I would like us to scroll downwards a little bit and look at something more interesting. And this is very contextual, especially in how we operate with WhatsApp. We're looking at what we call message sending flow. How do you get to go about sending a text message from the sender to the receiver? For example, when I send a text to our WhatsApp group, if it's maybe hub 4, hub 3, hub 2, hub 1, there's a way in which this message is sent. And you as a sender, when you get to send a message, for example, once you've been able to type your message, then you click send, there's a way in which it operates to a point where a receiver on the other side gets to receive the message. And this is what I want us to look at here. So what you are used to is you being the sender here and sending the message, right? And then you're always expecting that at the back of your mind, the receiver will be able to receive the message, right? What you're not sure about is what takes place here. This is an area that most of the time we don't always think through because of the engineering aspect that we are not able to understand. So today I want us to understand it and try to look at it from a much more engineering perspective. So once you as a sender gets to send a message, there's what we call an API gateway. And this API gateway, as you can see here, helps to validate and route your message to the messaging service down here on the other end here. So this messaging service, as you can see, there's a validation and routing taking place to this messaging service. And then there's the publishing of the message to the message queue. I hope we are moving smoothly. I've talked about the API gateway, right? You're sending a message and it goes to the API gateway. This API gateway gets to validate and route. It gets to validate the message, and then it routes the message to the messaging service here, right? Once this message has been routed to the messaging service, it's then published to the message queue. right? It's then published to the message queue. Once it's published to the message queue, there's what we call persist message, right? There's what we call persist message. This is what I'm talking about, persist message. So this persist message goes to the message store. It goes to the message store. But then there's now what we call deliver message, which goes directly to the receiver, right? It goes directly to the receiver. So you might be very curious to know what goes on here between public message and persistent message, and what goes on from this messaging service here to the receiver where there's a delivery of the message. I know this is a very interesting area to look at because, again, it helps you to understand that there's always two key scenarios here. One, once you send a message, there's the validation and the routing, definitely, which takes place here on the messaging service, and definitely there's the publishing of the message, which actually takes place on the message queue. And then now there's the persist message. This is the message that persists, and it's stored in the message store here, right? But then now there's yours, which is delivered directly to the receiver. So I want us to do some research, some background research, and tell me what goes on here between public message to persist message. There's something beautiful that takes place here that I want you to tell me. Well, that is about message sending flow, which is text message. I want us to go downwards a little bit to the message delivery with offline support. So what we've looked up is message delivery with, this is the message sending flow and the text message, how it operates. But now here, we're looking at message delivery with offline support, which is also very, very interesting. And I can see the layout is a little bit hidden. Let me make it a little bit more. Let me try to minimize it to that level so that we're able to see it clearly. Beautiful. So here we have the user. We have the user here. I hope you can see the user. Then here we have the server. Hope you can see the server. Then we have the queue. Hope you can see the queue. And then we have the storage, which is here. Remember, this is messaging offline. Let me scroll upwards a little bit. Good. This is message delivery with offline support. Message delivery with offline support. So we're looking at you as a user. You get to send a message to the server, and this is how it operates. You get to send a message to the server, and that's how it goes. Thereafter, from the server, the message is pushed to the queue, right? And then from the queue, there's a message storage, which takes place here at our store here, which is beautiful. But again, from the server, message is delivered instantly to our user, right? I hope you can see that. But then how does it happen? It happens that the storage here, which actually holds the message, gets to send it to the server, and then the delivery takes place when the user is online. So when the user is offline, this is where it ends here, which means that the message is held from the storage to the server. But then once the user comes online, it's delivered to the user instantly, right? So there are two different perspectives here. The receiver is online, the receiver is offline. So how does it happen that at the end of the day, we are able to look at this perspective in a much more clearer way? So that's why it's very important for us to understand how this message delivery takes place, and also be able to see how the operation has been looked at. Unless there's a question up to that juncture. Unless there's a question, I would really like to hear your perspective. So up to this juncture, we have the user, as you can see there. We have the server, as you can see there. we do have the queue, as you can see here, then we have the storage, all right? And something beautiful about this is that the user gets to send a message, and this message is stored to the server. And then after that, the message is pushed to the queue, as you can see. This is our WhatsApp delivery with offline support. And then after that, the message is stored here in our storage, as you can see there. But then, because our receiver is online, the delivery takes place instantly to the user. But then, when our receiver is offline, it's a little bit different. The message is held, right, between the storage here and the server. But then the message gets to be delivered instantly once our user comes online. So that's a very beautiful way of trying to understand um, how that operates. Um, Let us try to scroll down a little bit. Now, this is also a very beautiful area to look at because remember, there's something that takes place when our our WhatsApp, when we upload our media on WhatsApp, and how we also get to do the delivery flow stuff like that. So here we have the user, as you can see here, and then we have the API, then we have the media service, then we have the object storage, and then the CDN is here. I want us to really have a very clear perspective on this flow, including everything that's here. So when talk about the user, right, there's an upload of media which goes through the API, and then there's the validation which takes place in the media service here, and then there's now what you call the store file which takes place in the object storage here, and then there's what we call distribution, and this distribution takes place in CDN. Beautiful. But there's something else, streaming media. For example, now from the CDN to the stream media, how that operation takes place is very interesting because we need to understand that what CDN actually is, because most of you might be really interested to know. I don't know if any of you has been able to do some check there. What do you think is the meaning of CDN? What do you think CDN means? Someone? What do you think CDN actually means? So remember, we're looking at the user, and this user gets to upload media to our API, and then this API gets to validate the media, gets to validate through the media service, and then through this there's the storage that takes place in the object storage here, and then the distribution takes place in CDN. So CDN basically means content delivery network, right? So from the content delivery network, which is our CDN, it's delivered straight back to the user. So media upload and delivery flow, that's how it takes place, how you get to upload your media, validation, the store filing, the distribution, and then instantly back to the user. So that is something that's very interesting because you're able to understand that through CDN. CDN basically is a network of geographically distributed servers that deliver web content like images, videos, scripts, pages to users from the nearest location. So it's a network of geographically distributed servers that deliver web content like images, videos, scripts, pages to users from the nearest location. So the purpose is to majorly reduce what we call latency, increase speed, improve reliability, and even reduce a load on the main server. So the core functions, one is to help us reduce page load time, to handle traffic spikes, to improve availability and the uptime, and also be able to add basic security like the DDoS mitigation and TLS. So some of the examples of this content delivery networks are Cloudflare, or we can talk about Fastly or AWS, CloudFront. There are quite a number, but they're very interesting because they help you to understand how you can geographically distribute your content, from one geographical area to another. Let's look at this one here, present system. online or offline, present system online or offline. So here we have a user application, and this user application, there's what we call present service, then takes place through the Redis, then there's context, and then there's the last seen data. I know most of you have been really interested to know how that actually operates, right? Most of the time you might be so worried, uh, why is maybe your friend not online, or why are they offline? So the engineering aspect is this clear on WhatsApp, So this is, let's say this is your user application, right? And this is your present service. So under your present service, we have what we call Redis, and then we have contacts. Through Redis, that's how you're able to see your last seen data, right? Very, very interesting. So WhatsApp is really interesting because of this simple but clear, effective use of Redis and just the architecture around it. So it's a very simple but also very important way of ensuring that you can be able to see the last seen data of someone. Even right now, when you check, you'll see that, and it's so interesting. Unless there's a question up to that point. Before we get to the end-to-end encryption flow, I think so far we've covered quite a number of things, and I think it would be really nice to put a pause here so that I don't give you guys the whole content today. I know it's almost day one, but it's day one, but there's a lot that we need to talk about and learn together. But as we do that, it's good to take some things in bits so that you can be able to go and reflect on what we've been able to learn today. So